Jonas Sachs, what are the story wars, and why is telling a good story so vital to a business's success?
Well, for about 100 years, we were in this broadcast era where there was a dominant form of marketing, and that was a very passive form of receiving on the end of consumers. They would sit back and you'd blast a message out to them. And there you had the display ad and the 30-second spot were the way that you communicated. And you didn't really need to go much deeper than that. You had audience attention grabbed. But now we're returning to something much more like an oral tradition where audiences are in charge of what kind of information they get, they pass it along, they make it their own. And in those oral traditions, stories have always dominated. That's the preferred form of human communication. So if you don't have an audience that's just sitting back waiting for their next show to start up, you've got to reach them with something that's going to delight them, excite them, and make them an evangelist. And stories are the way to do it. So really what we're seeing in the marketing world is a battle to figure out what is the most compelling story that people can make their own, can kind of create meaning in their own life out of it, and then spread it to their social networks, because that's where marketing is really taking off. You can't reach people by buying them anymore.
Can you give me an example of a company or a brand that's telling great stories right now and winning the story wars?
Well, it's been really fascinating with the beating that Facebook has sort of taken, the narrative kind of slipping away from them a little bit since their IPO, and obviously it's a tremendous force in the world, but where are they going? And the analysis has been a little rough lately. They just teamed up with Wieden+Kennedy and put out a fascinating ad that really tells the story of the 1 billion users who are on Facebook. And they don't just talk about the features or where they're going as a company, but really about human connection and taking viewers around the globe down to that real human scale level and seeing the interrelationships that are possible between Facebook and users. And they don't show a computer once, they don't show the tools at all, they simply show people in connection with other people. And it creates that moving, stirring new battleground that Facebook wants to claim. It's the first time that they've really stepped out onto the advertising stage, and they're using stories to do it. We're also seeing some really fascinating stuff with audience as hero. You see, stories have always worked when they cast the audience member as the hero of the story. Traditional advertising usually makes the brand the hero and the audience sort of needs help to get what they want in life. But the great stories of the past, the myths that drove society, were all about the audience as hero. So now you're seeing stuff like this new Intel campaign where actually the audience members can be the hero of a movie that they've put out called The Beauty Inside, where a guy every day he wakes up, he's a new human being, and you can be that human being. You can star in the movie yourself and be the hero of your own story. So you're seeing brands really moving away from touting their own features and their own benefits, and really touting the benefits that the consumers, touting the consumer as the hero of the story.
Well, you've talked about a number of different mediums. You talked about movies and TV. Well, I guess there was radio before TV. Now we're all watching our computers or our tablets or our smartphones. What do you think is going to be the way people tell stories in the future?
It's so much more demanding now because you mentioned all these media, and none are going to sort of dominate and take over. What it's going to be is this sort of transmedia situation where you're going to need as a brand to go out, tell a story that's compelling to people, set the framework for the story, and then tell it across all media so that it comes across in that tiny little tweet, so that it's possible for the audience to be part of the story for themselves, to see that 30-second spot blow up when they get really excited about it and the community raises it up on YouTube. Now it jumps to the television, as the Old Spice commercial did, which, the man your man could smell like. It started as a viral sensation, then jumped to the TV, then jumped back to the internet, then people were making their own versions. So really, stories are going to be about setting a framework and letting everyone participate in that story across all media. So as new media rolls out, I'm sure it'll get incorporated, but there won't be one dominant form as there was in the past.